My name is Emma Sullivan. I'm 28 years old. 10 weeks ago, I sat at my parents' dining table during Thanksgiving dinner while they hosted their annual gathering. 35 people filled the house: extended family, church friends, neighbors from our community in Nashville. My mother stood up to make an announcement. "We need to share something difficult with everyone. Emma has found herself in an unfortunate situation. She's pregnant, unmarried, unstable, completely unprepared for motherhood." 35 people watched as my father added, "We've told her the responsible choice is to terminate the pregnancy. She's refused. So we're announcing that if she continues down this path, she's no longer part of this family. We will not support this mistake." 35 witnesses heard my parents demand I abort my baby or be disowned. But what they didn't know was that the unstable situation they described was actually a stable, loving relationship with my fiancé Michael, a pediatric nurse I'd been with for 3 years. And what they really didn't know was that tucked in my purse was an ultrasound from 2 days earlier, an ultrasound that would be revealed at their Christmas party in 4 weeks, showing not one baby, but identical twin girls, and proving everything they'd said about me was a lie. Before I tell you what happened when I showed that ultrasound to 50 Christmas guests, please like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from and what time is it? I'd love to hear from you. Now, let me take you back to where this really began. Growing up in Nashville, I learned early that my younger sister Brielle was the golden child, and I was the cautionary tale. My family consisted of my father, a successful megachurch pastor, my mother, who ran the church's women's ministry, my younger sister Brielle, who was perfect and pure, and me, the daughter who kept asking questions they didn't want to answer. Brielle brought home conformity. I brought home doubt. When I was 15, I won a statewide essay competition on medical ethics and reproductive rights, first place out of 600 entries. The essay examined bodily autonomy and healthcare access. The prize was $3,000 and publication in a medical journal. I showed my parents the acceptance letter, proud of the recognition. My father barely looked at it. "You wrote about abortion rights? Emma, that's murder. I'm disappointed you'd even consider these topics." That same week, Brielle volunteered to lead a purity pledge ceremony at church. She was 11 years old. She hadn't written the ceremony or planned it. My mother did everything. My parents held a special church service to honor her commitment to abstinence. 300 people attended. My father preached about Brielle's godly example. I told myself it was fine. Church activities were more important than secular essay contests. At 18, I got accepted to Vanderbilt University with a partial scholarship to study pre-med. I wanted to become an OB/GYN, to help women with their health care, to provide compassionate reproductive care. My parents came to my high school graduation, but spent the entire ceremony on their phones. Brielle had a youth group meeting they'd promised to help coordinate. They gave me a Bible with a note inside. "Stay pure." Proverbs 31. 2 years earlier, when Brielle graduated 8th grade with a 3.0 GPA, they'd thrown her a Princess Purity Ball, a formal dance where fathers escort their daughters and the girls pledge their virginity to God and their future husbands. Cost? $12,000. I told myself it was different. Brielle was younger. She needed affirmation. At Vanderbilt, I thrived. Straight A's in biology and chemistry, volunteer work at Planned Parenthood's Community Health Center, research on maternal mortality rates in underserved communities. My parents hated all of it. "You're volunteering at an abortion clinic? Emma, you're going to hell." "It's a healthcare clinic. They provide cancer screenings, STI testing, prenatal care." "They murder babies. You're complicit." Meanwhile, Brielle went to a Christian college in Texas. She majored in biblical studies, with plans to become a pastor's wife. My parents paid her full tuition, $35,000 a year. They refused to contribute a cent to my education. "We don't support your sinful choices. You can pay for your own secular education." I took out $80,000 in student loans and worked 2 jobs. Graduated with honors, got accepted to medical school at Vanderbilt. My parents didn't come to my graduation. Brielle was getting engaged that day to Connor, a youth pastor at a megachurch in Dallas. They threw her an engagement party that cost $25,000. Every family gathering was the same. Hours of celebrating Brielle's purity, her engagement, her godly choices. 5 minutes of tense questions about my worldly career path. Then, 2 years ago, I met Michael at Vanderbilt Hospital. He was a pediatric nurse, kind and gentle and genuinely good. He'd grown up Catholic but wasn't especially religious. He believed in kindness, in helping people, in living ethically without needing a rule book. We fell in love. It was easy and natural and right. I didn't tell my parents about him for months. When I finally did, my mother's first question was, "Is he saved?" "He's a good person." "That's not what I asked. Is he born-again Christian?" "He's Catholic." The phone went silent. Then, "Emma, you cannot marry a Catholic. They worship Mary. They pray to saints. It's idolatry." "Mom, that's not—" "You need to end this relationship immediately." I stopped updating them about Michael after that. We got engaged 8 months ago. Small proposal, just the two of us at Centennial Park. Simple ring, genuine love, plans for a life together. I was in my 3rd year of medical school. Michael had just been promoted to charge nurse in pediatric oncology. We were building something real. Then, 6 months ago, I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't planned, but we weren't devastated. We were engaged, financially stable, both working in healthcare. Michael was incredible with kids. It was literally his job. We could do this. We decided to move our wedding up. Simple courthouse ceremony, then a larger celebration later when I finished medical school. I was 12 weeks along when I told my parents. I called them, nervous but hoping they might be happy. A grandchild. Their first grandchild. "I have some news. Michael and I are getting married next month, and I'm pregnant." Silence. Then my mother. "You're pregnant? Before marriage?" "Yes, but we're getting—" "You've shamed this family. You've shamed God. After everything we taught you about purity, about waiting, about honoring your body as a temple." "Mom, I'm 28 years old. I'm engaged. This isn't—" "You need to terminate that pregnancy immediately," my father interrupted. "You're in medical school. You're unmarried. This will destroy your life and our reputation." I couldn't breathe. "You want me to abort my baby?" "It's not a baby yet. It's a collection of cells. Get rid of it. Marry this Catholic boy if you must, and start over the right way. You preach about abortion being murder every Sunday. Now you're demanding I have one?" "This is different," my mother said. "This is about protecting you, protecting our family's reputation. No one needs to know. Just take care of it quietly." "I'm keeping my baby. Michael and I are getting married and raising our child." "Then you're no longer our daughter," my father said coldly. "We will not support this sin. You choose, the pregnancy or your family." They hung up. I cried for hours. Michael held me. "They're bluffing. They'll come around when the baby's born." But I knew better. 2 weeks later, I got a text from my mother. "We're announcing your situation at Thanksgiving dinner. The family deserves to know the truth, and they deserve to know we don't support your choices." I begged them not to. "This is private, between me and Michael. Please don't make a spectacle. You made it public when you decided to carry this child. We're simply being honest about our position." Thanksgiving arrived. I almost didn't go, but Michael convinced me. "Let them say what they want. We know the truth. We're building our own family." 35 people at my parents' house. Extended family, church members, neighbors. My mother made her announcement before we'd even served dinner. My unfortunate situation. My refusal to make the responsible choice. My father's ultimatum. Terminate the pregnancy or be disowned. People were shocked. Some supportive. Emma, congratulations on the baby. Others judgmental, nodding along with my parents' assessment. My Aunt Carol, my mother's sister, spoke up. You're demanding she abort her grandchild? Your first grandchild? It's not a grandchild yet, my mother said. It's a mistake that will ruin her life. She's 28, engaged, in medical school. She's not some teenager. She's an adult making adult choices. She's an adult making sinful choices, my father corrected. And we will not pretend to support sin. I stood up. I'm leaving. Michael and I will raise our baby without you. Clearly, we don't need family who'd rather I abort my child than deal with their own embarrassment. My mother grabbed my arm. Emma, listen to reason. You told me abortion is murder every day of my life. You dragged me to protest clinics. You preached about the sanctity of life. But now that it's inconvenient for you, suddenly it's just cells, and I should take care of it quietly. This is different. It's not different. You're hypocrites. You care more about your reputation than your grandchild. I pulled away. Don't contact me. Don't come to our wedding. And don't expect to meet your grandchild when they're born. Michael and I left. Behind us, I could hear arguments erupting. Aunt Carol defending me. Others debating. My parents trying to justify their position. But we were done. But then my mother called. Emma, we're having our annual Christmas party. You should come. Bring Michael. We can discuss things. Find a compromise. A compromise? You demanded I abort my baby. Babies. We heard it's twins. I went cold. How did you know that? Brielle saw your medical records. She works at a Christian pregnancy center now. She has access to medical databases and looked you up. My sister had violated HIPAA to spy on my medical records. That's illegal, Mom. She's concerned about you. We all are. Please come to Christmas. Let's talk about this reasonably. Maybe we were hasty. Maybe there are options. Options? Like what? Aborting one twin and keeping the other? Silence. Mom, are you seriously? Selective reduction is a medical procedure. If you're overwhelmed by twins, you could… I hung up. Michael was furious. They're asking you to abort one of our daughters? After demanding you abort both? They just want to control me. That's all they've ever wanted. But an idea formed. My parents were having their Christmas party. 50 people, their biggest event of the year. All their church friends, all their important connections. They wanted to discuss options. Fine. I'd show them exactly what they'd demanded I destroy. Christmas Eve arrived. My parents' house was decorated immaculately. 50 guests in festive attire. A full catering spread. My father in his expensive suit, ready to play the gracious pastor. Michael and I arrived at 7 p.m. My mother looked surprised. Emma, you came! You invited me. You said we should discuss things. Yes, of course. Privately, though. Maybe we can talk upstairs. No. You announced my pregnancy publicly at Thanksgiving. We can discuss it publicly at Christmas. People were gathering. Extended family, church elders, deacons, the worship leader, all the people my parents cared about impressing. My father approached. "Emma, let's be reasonable." I pulled the ultrasound from my purse. The 20-week scan, clear and detailed. 2 babies, unmistakable. "You wanted to discuss my pregnancy? Let's discuss it." I held up the ultrasound image for everyone to see. For those who don't know, I'm 24 weeks pregnant, with twins, identical twin girls, completely healthy, due in April. Murmurs around the room, people congratulating me, others looking at my parents uncertainly. At Thanksgiving, I continued, my parents announced that I should terminate my pregnancy. They said it was the responsible choice. They gave me an ultimatum: abort my baby or be disowned. My mother's face went white. "Emma, that's not—" "It is exactly what you said, Mom. You said it wasn't a baby yet, just cells, and I should take care of it quietly." Dad agreed. "Both of you demanded I have an abortion." The room went silent, 50 people staring at my parents. "And then," I continued, "last week when you found out it's twins, which you learned by having Brielle illegally access my medical records, Mom suggested selective reduction, aborting one twin and keeping the other, because apparently 2 granddaughters is too overwhelming." My Aunt Carol gasped. "Susan, please tell me that's not true." My mother couldn't speak. One of the church elders, Pastor Mike, spoke up. "Robert, Susan, you demanded your daughter abort her children?" My father tried to recover. "It's more complicated than Emma is making it sound." "Is it?" I interrupted. "You preach every Sunday that abortion is murder. You've spent 40 years protesting clinics, condemning women, preaching about the sanctity of life. But when your daughter gets pregnant, engaged, financially stable, 28 years old, in medical school, you demand she abort your grandchildren." I held up the ultrasound again. "Look at them. Twin A and Twin B, your granddaughters, 24 weeks old, heartbeats at 140 and 142. Perfect growth, healthy and wanted." "Emma, you don't understand the situation," my father started. "I understand perfectly. You care more about your reputation than your family. You preach about life being sacred until it's inconvenient for you. You demanded I abort my babies because their existence before marriage embarrasses you." Brielle finally spoke up. "I was trying to help." "You violated federal law," Michael said coldly. "HIPAA protects medical privacy. You illegally accessed Emma's records and shared confidential medical information. That's a felony." "I'm her sister." "You're not her healthcare provider. You had no legal right to access her records. And yes, we're reporting you to the Office of Civil Rights and your employer." Pastor Mike looked at my parents with disgust. "You demanded your daughter abort her twins? After decades of pro-life preaching?" "We were concerned about her future," my mother tried. "You were concerned about your image," Aunt Carol interrupted. "Emma is successful, engaged, stable. But she embarrassed you by getting pregnant before the wedding, so you'd rather she killed your grandchildren than admit your daughter had sex." Others started murmuring. The hypocrisy was too blatant to ignore. "You told me abortion was murder," I said quietly. "Every day of my life. You dragged me to protests, made me hold signs calling women murderers, told me abortion providers were evil. And then, when I got pregnant, you demanded I do exactly what you've spent 40 years condemning." "It's different when it's your own family," my mother started. "Is it? So abortion is only murder when it's someone else's baby? When it's your daughter's twins, suddenly it's a responsible medical choice." The room was completely silent. I pulled out my phone. "I recorded our conversation, Mom. Last week when you suggested selective reduction. Want me to play it for everyone?" She went pale. "You recorded me? You violated my medical privacy. I documented our conversation. I'm in a one-party consent state, completely legal." I played the recording. My mother's voice, clear and unmistakable. Selective reduction is a medical procedure. If you're overwhelmed by twins, you could reduce to one. Gasps around the room. Pastor Mike stood up. Robert, I think you and I need to have a very serious conversation about your position as pastor of this church. My father looked panicked. Mike, you can't. You demanded your daughter abort her children. Your preaching on the sanctity of life was apparently just political posturing. The board needs to discuss whether you can continue in leadership. Other elders nodded. People were leaving. Walking out of the Christmas party in disgust, my mother was crying. Emma, please. We made a mistake. We were wrong. Don't destroy your father's career over this. I'm not destroying anything, Mom. You did that yourselves when you chose your reputation over your grandchildren. I held up the ultrasound one more time. These are your granddaughters, Aria and Luna. Those are their names. They're due April 18th. They're healthy and wanted and loved, and they will never know you, because their grandparents would rather they didn't exist than deal with minor embarrassment. Michael and I walked out. Behind us, the party was in chaos. Elders confronting my father, guests leaving, Aunt Carol shouting at my mother. We got in the car and drove home in silence. You okay? Michael finally asked. Yeah, actually I am. That was 10 weeks ago. My parents' Christmas party ended in disaster. 30 people left early. The church board held an emergency meeting. My father was asked to step down as senior pastor. The board cited conduct inconsistent with pro-life values and bringing disrepute to the church. He's now on sabbatical, indefinitely. My mother resigned from women's ministry leadership. Too many questions about her hypocrisy. Brielle was fired from the Christian Pregnancy Center for HIPAA violations. She's being investigated by the Office of Civil Rights. She could face fines up to $50,000. Aunt Carol called me last week. I'm so sorry, Emma. I should have spoken up years ago when I saw how they treated you compared to Brielle. Your girls are blessed to have you as their mother. Michael and I got married at the courthouse in January. Just us, a judge, and 2 witnesses. Simple and perfect. We're preparing for the twins. We painted the nursery, built 2 cribs, read every book on parenting multiples. My medical school has been incredibly supportive. I'll take a semester off after they're born, then finish my degree with flexible scheduling. And I have a new family now. Michael's parents are over the moon about becoming grandparents. They've bought every tiny outfit they could find. They ask about my health constantly. They treat me like a daughter. This is what grandparents are supposed to be like, I told Michael. This is what family is supposed to be like, he corrected. People ask if I'll let my parents meet the twins. If family isn't worth preserving. If I went too far at Christmas. And here's what I know. My parents spent my entire life preaching about the sanctity of life. But when their own grandchildren were inconvenient, they demanded I abort them. Both of them. That's not pro-life. That's pro-reputation. They didn't just make a mistake. They revealed who they really are. People who care more about appearances than their own family. Who preach values they don't actually hold. Who would rather their grandchildren didn't exist than admit their daughter had sex before marriage. I'm 28 years old. I'm finishing medical school. I'm married to a wonderful man. And in 8 weeks, I'm giving birth to identical twin daughters who are wanted, loved, and celebrated. Without my parents, without their conditional love, without their hypocrisy. If you're reading this and your family is pressuring you about your pregnancy, whether to continue or terminate, please know, your body is yours, your choice is yours, and anyone who demands you make reproductive decisions based on their comfort, rather than your well-being, doesn't deserve access to your life. Build your family anyway. Choose your path anyway. Raise your children anyway, with people who love unconditionally, who celebrate your choices, who see your children as blessings, not embarrassments. Thank you for reading my story. If it resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Drop a comment. Have you ever had family try to control your reproductive choices? How did you establish boundaries? I'd love to hear from you. Your family is whoever loves you, not whoever shares your DNA. And my daughters will know that from day one. They'll know they were wanted from the moment I found out about them. They'll know their father cried happy tears when we saw them on ultrasound. They'll know their grandparents, Michael's parents, traveled across the country to meet them. And they'll never know they had grandparents who wanted them aborted. Because some truths are just too cruel to share.